أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توغى وتمتعه فيها طويلا. Remembrance of Ahlul Bayt, Ghaza for Ahlul Bayt, crying for Abu Abdullah. It's one of those worships whose reward it's given by Allah Jalla wa'ala, or a tear that is shed for Abu Abdullah. There is no reward that has been defined in riwayah. Says that is something which Allah, He will reward Himself. Now the first one to recite the musibats for Abu Abdullah is Jibreel alayhi salam, this sincere messenger or the mediator between Allah and all of His prophets. Now the first phrase which he recites, he says that صغيرهم يميته العطش كبيرهم جلده منكمش. That when he recites this musibah for Prophet Adam, the words that he uses is صغيرهم يميته العطش, that is the infant that is from this caravan of Noor, from this caravan of light. The youngest among them will die of thirst, that is, that thirst will kill. Now what exactly this thirst does, inshallah, we will come to that point and try and discuss and try to understand and perceive what exactly this atash is, this thirst is. Or for example, when it says that kabiruhum jilduhu munkamash, that from this caravan of light, from this caravan of Noor, kabiruhum, those who are the elders, their skin will be munkamash. Munkamash means that due to the heat, when the skin gets burned, it gets stretched. So that is a pain. Dehydration is a pain. Atash is a pain. Now whether or not we understand, we perceive, that's something else. So the first one to recite these masa'ib was Jibreel. And it is as such that 4 times, some riwayat say 5 times, during the time of Rasulullah, he is informed of this tragedy which is going to unfold in Karbala. That is, Imam, he is not yet 4 years of age since his birth. First, when he is born, the scenario is different, that everyone is happy, but Rasulullah is sad. Wahy is revealed. The mother, she asks, what is the reason for this sorrow and grief and crying of yours? That when the baby, the infant is given to the grandfather, he starts kissing the neck of this baby. Now all this is that musibah that we see upon the birth of each member of this noble household, or these Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. For this azar, for these tears that are shed, there is a huge big reward that no one can define. Our 6th Imam, he has jalasat, he has lessons each day, and one of his students is Zurara, who attends these lessons. Zurara was absent in one of these durus. The next day, Imam says, Zurara, why were you absent yesterday? Now for Imam, when he inquires, it's for this message to be delivered to others. Otherwise, they don't need this inquiry at all. Says Zurara, why were you absent? What was the reason for your absence? If it was something to do with your schools, with the children's schools, etc., someone else could have done the job. Why were you absent from the dars of the Imam of your time? He doesn't reply. And then he says that, Imam, truly speaking, the reason for my absence is that I had invited a few of these top-notch people in the community to my home so that we all sit and cry for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Each one of us recited, the others they cried, and it was the turn of each one of us. Imam says, I know, Zurara, I was present in that majlis of yours. He says, I had that feeling that there is someone by the door of my house, but I never thought it was you. And if it was you, then why didn't you come in that majlis? Why didn't you participate, Ya Imam? He says that how could I have come in when my mother, she also was present in that majlis. She was sitting by those footwear where people they leave their shoes and slippers. And how could I have come inside that majlis? So our majlis that we are sitting in, it is of that great honor, whose first reciter is God himself, you could say. Jibreel himself, Ma'asumeen, they recited. Everyone recited, everyone cried. And we also are trying to align ourselves to these great reciters of these majalis and masa'ib of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. May Allah Jalla wa Ala make these majalis of ours a majlis of ma'rifah, a majlis of knowing, a majlis of tawbah, a majlis of repentance, so that we correct ourselves. All that wrong that is in us is dropped out, and we turn back to our original default settings which Allah had created us with, and we are with Him. And we ask Allah, by the presence of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, by this infant of Abu Abdullah, to forgive us, to waive all that wrong that is in us, and to accept us all in His service, to expedite the arrival of the Imam of time. It was mentioned yesterday It was mentioned yesterday that the actions that we have, the a'mal that we have, these a'mal, their quality can be elevated by elevating the intentions that we have, the niyyah that we have, al-a'malu bin-niyyat. And these intentions again, our fourth Imam, he defines how these intentions can be elevated. Says that, Allahumma waffir bilutfika niyyati, that by your grace make it as such that this niyyah, this intention of mine is wafir, is abundant, it takes everything on board. And that make it as such that this niyyat of mine is elevated, it's high. It was mentioned again yesterday that Hazrat Zahra salamullahi alayha, she, when she talks about the concept of imama, says that mathalul imam mislul Kaaba, that the parable of Imam is like that of Kaaba. To Kaaba you go, and Kaaba never comes to you. And again, when we talked about niyyah and intention, it was mentioned that it should be as such that we have to be totally compatible to Ahlul Bayt, totally compatible to the Imam. And an example was mentioned of Salman, that ja'ala hawahu hawa Amir al-Mu'mineen, that his desires were the desires of Amirul Mu'mineen. Whatever Imam wanted, he wants. So all these were the different things that were mentioned yesterday. And again, if you look into it, this whole system that Allah has laid, may that be the month of Ramadan, may that be Laylatul Qadr, may that be the day of Arafah, the days of Hajj, the days of Muharram, the day of Ashura. All these are, in simple words, traps that are laid by Allah. Marhum Imam Khomeini, in his Durus Akhlaq, he used to say that it's like these seeds that we throw and we catch pigeons. Says Allah, He gives all these different opportunities that with an excuse of the month of Ramadan, He wants to catch people, catch the good ones, giving us an opportunity. With an excuse of Laylatul Qadr, again wants to trap us so that we are elevated. And again, this great big opportunity that Allah has given us, the month of Muharram and the days of Azar, again a huge big opportunity that is being given to us. And it is one of those simplest and the easiest opportunities that we cry sincerely, come to this household of wahy, household of karamat, and get elevated. So again, that is by this niyyah. Or for example, Prophet Musa, he was shown that fire. He comes to his wife, says that let me go and get some fire. That fire was an excuse to elevate Musa to that high rank of Nabuwwah. So that is again something which an excuse which he sees. So all these are opportunities that are given to us day in, day out, so that we elevate and we come to a rank which is nearer and closer to Allah, so that that qurb is sought, the distance is reduced. And it should be as such that the quality of a'mal, they have to be observed. One of the urafa that we have, it's Shaykh Murtaza Zahid, who died about 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Now once in his lectures, it was as such that he went on the mimbar, he addressed the people, and when he came home, he found out that the mas'ala that he said was wrong. That old man comes to the house of each person present in that majlis, informs that this mas'ala which I mentioned was wrong. One of these people, they said that why this rush? Why did you come and inform us at this night? You should have told us tomorrow when we get together. He in reply says that I didn't have that rush, but Malakul Maut, he doesn't care. If he was in a rush and I was to die, this wrong mas'ala that was given to you, how is that going to be corrected? So people of those great caliber, the things they do are again beautiful. Their actions are very refined, very clear and beautiful. So that is the intention, these are the actions that are done by these mu'mineen. So a niyyat that is high has to be possessed, a niyyah which is wafir has to be possessed, and that is why again it was mentioned yesterday that when we say that a niyyah which takes everything on board, like when we say ya laytani kuntu ma'akum, that I wish that I was with the Imam. In my intention, I can be with the Imam. In one of these battles, when Amirul Mu'mineen was returning, a person with the Imam, he comes and says, Imam, I was with you. My brother, he also wished that he was with us in this battle, but due to the lifestyle which he had, he was unable to participate in this battle. Imam in reply says that Ahawa akhika ma'ana, that was the heart of your brother with us. In reply he says yes, he wished to be with you and he wanted to be with you. And in reply Imam says faqat shahidna, if his heart was with me, he was with us in this battle. فَقَدْ شَهِدْنَا فِي عَسْكَرِنَا, and in this battle he also was with us. Now to understand again this whole concept of niyyah, that elevated niyyah and a niyyah which takes everything on board, Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, this noble servant of Ahlul Bayt, on the Arba'een of Abu Abdullah, when he comes to the grave of Abu Abdullah, Jabir now is an old man, he has lost his sight. He comes to the grave of Abu Abdullah and there he faints. Present with Jabir is a person called Atiyya Kufi, who is among the Mufassirin of Quran. There Jabir says that we were a partner, a sharik with Abu Abdullah in the reward, in the thawab which he got as a result of this sacrifice which he gave. Atiyya, this Mufassir of Quran, says that Jabir, why do you say that? Look at your age. You can hardly stand, you can hardly see. How were you a sharik, a partner in that thawab which Abu Abdullah got? And then he says that I heard my Habib, that is the Holy Prophet, say, سمعت حبيبي رسول الله يقول من أحب قوما حشر معهم, says that the Prophet had said that whosoever loved a nation, Allah will raise him, Allah will resurrect him with them. And then says that وَمَنْ أَحَبَّ عَمَلَ قَوْمٍ أُشْرِكَ فِي عَمَلِهِمْ, and whosoever loves the action of a nation, he too again is a partner, a sharik in whatever reward he gets. So how beautifully Jabir relates that action. So because we also love the action of the Imam, we too are a sharik, a partner in whatever thawab he gets. That is why we read in these ziyarat, Ya laytana kunna ma'akum. And again that example that was mentioned yesterday, for a wufur in niyyah, for a niyyat which is abundant, which takes everything on board. Muhaddis Muhyiddin Erbili quotes, was with his father, quoting from Biharul Anwar, and it was mentioned yesterday. And then these two people, they walk and then they have a fight. And then when he wakes up, he is in the laps of the Imam of time. He gets cured, he gets shifa. And then Imam says that Nasartana Nasartuk, because you helped us, we helped you. Now someone whose actions were in line, who wished to be with the Imam, whose intentions were pure, they are like that. So intention, an elevated intention, and an intention which is wafir, which is abundant, it's something which we were talking about yesterday. And may Allah make it as such that the intentions that we have, they are pure. The other thing which I wanted to mention tonight is that following the Imam, it's one of those tough duties. Although we ask Allah to make it as such that we be among His associates and servants, and that we be given an opportunity to be with Him, it is a dua which we all recite, which we all wish, which we all desire. But if the Imam comes, will we remain with the Imam? That is another question that we have to ask ourselves. Now this is something which I am addressing to myself, to you brothers and sisters, just reminding. Now that what we understand from Quran and the history is that being with awliyaullah, being with the A'imma, being in their company, being steadfast on the right path until the end, it's one of those tough things. Awliyaullah, the soul which they possess, it's so massive, it's so refined, it's so great that for us to be with them becomes tough at times. Or in today's terminology, the term inqilabi which is being used, or the term revolutionary that is used. So people, they might be revolutionary, they might be inqilabi, but whether or not they remain inqilabi, that is the beauty. So someone who remains a revolutionary, someone who remains an inqilabi, that is the important, that is the beautiful side of it. If you look into Surat Kahf, one of the surahs of Quran, Yeah. Allama Tabatabai, he says that 3 stories have been mentioned in this surah. One of them is regarding Ashab Kahf, the companions of the cave. The second is regarding Dhul Qarnayn, and the third one is the story of Musa and Khizr alayhim as-salam. And he says that if this surah was revealed only to mention these 3 stories, that is again true. Now what is being mentioned tonight, it's this between Prophet Musa and Khizr. Now you must have heard the story, but from the angle that is going to be mentioned today, it's different. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, He has sent 124,000 prophets. Out of these 124,000, 5 of them are ulil azm, meaning that 5 of them were given a sharia. Or in other words, 123,395 prophets were the muballighin and the propagators of those 5 top-notch prophets. So they are the best. Among one of those 5 is Prophet Musa. Now Prophet Musa, he works for a decade with Prophet Shu'aib. And after working with him for 8 years, he becomes his son-in-law. And then, after a decade, he moves and goes back to his hometown. On his way, going back to his hometown, it's night, it's scary, it's cold. He leaves his family at a point when he sees some fire at a distance and says that stay here, let me go and get that fire so that you get warm over here. But when he comes to that fire, he finds out it's not a fire, it's a nur. Now again, this is something beautiful and very delicate that we find over here, that Allah, when He wants to elevate someone, when Allah wants to give something to someone, it is at night. So Prophet Musa, he is brought to that point at night. He is shown that fire which wasn't fire, which was that nur that was shown to him. And at that point, Prophet Musa is elevated from that rank to that rank of Nubuwwah, and there he is given that Yad-e Bayda, and there he is given that Asa, and all those miracles that were given to him. The same thing if you look into Quran, when Rasulullah is to be elevated, says that Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdihi laylan, that Allah, when He wants to elevate Rasulullah, or when Rasulullah has that mi'raj, ascension to the heavens, it is at night. Quran, inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Quran is revealed at night. So night, and especially that time which is nearer to dawn, it's one of those important times and occasions when there is an immense downpour of rahmat of Allah. So we have to benefit from that time. Those who are lucky enough, they get that opportunity of Salatul Layl, or offering those nocturnal worship. Or even if someone doesn't have that nice mood and manner to offer those Salatul Layl, at least be awake for a few moments and minutes before Fajr. Because that time, it's one of those Mubarak times that is present. And what we see today, because with all that emphasis which Allah has for keeping up awake at that time, Shaitan also does it in a way that we occupy ourselves, our nights, in a way so that we are asleep in that morning, in that time of Rahmah. So we have to be smart, that go to bed early, get up early, be awake at that time, which is the time of that downpour of Rahmah, when the mercy of Allah is being downpoured in that huge big force. Chatting or surfing the internet or what and what not, all these things that have come up. Now all that is from Shaitan, because he knows that that is that beautiful time when you can observe and get a lot from there. He says, I'll make him so much busy that he doesn't get up at that time. So we have to be smart and do something that we are awake at that time. So Prophet Musa, he comes to that point, to him that fire is shown, and then when he comes to that fire, he finds out it's that nur that was present over there. And when he comes to that point, again, the other thing which we find in Quran says that when he comes to that point, the instructions are فَقْلَعْنَا عَلَيْكَ, that take your footwear off. Now take your footwear off, it's another instruction that is given to him, that you are in a sacred land, that all those attachments that you have to this world, to this dunya, leave them behind. Every attachment, everything that is to do with this dunya, put it aside, so that because you are in that noble, in that sacred wadi and that valley. Now what we hear regarding Prophet Musa is that he was a Kalimullah. What exactly it means, we don't understand. He spoke to Allah, what he spoke, what he heard. Now all these are things we do not understand. So Allah, he wants to elevate Prophet Musa. It is as such that Musa at that time, he is the best person present. There is no one of his caliber, there is no one of his match. And at that time, Musa, riwayat, they say that, quoting from this tafsir, Nul al-Thaqalain, says that dakhalahu al-ujb. Musa, when he finds that he is the top notch and there is no match and no one like him of that position, dakhalahu al-ujb. A type of a pride came into Musa. When I say ujb and pride for Musa, it's not like that ujb and pride which gets into us and makes us proud. Prophet Musa, he is the best servant of Allah. And Allah, when he finds that ujb is growing in Musa, immediately wahi is revealed, Jibreel is revealed to him, says that Musa, there is someone else on this land who possesses a knowledge, a science, an ilm which you do not possess. When Musa is informed, then he corrects himself. And who is that? That is Prophet Khizr. Doesn't mention who that prophet is. The address is given to him that you go to that land, that place, and you will find him, and you will have to be his student for a while to learn something. So Musa, who was so much high in his spirits, who thought that there is no second person like him, when he finds that there is someone else who he has to learn from, immediately that ujb, it's gone away. Now when he comes to Prophet Khizr, and the address that was given to him is that Majma' al-Bahrain, and where the two seas, that is the Mediterranean, comes to that point, meets Prophet Khizr, and again that story of Prophet Khizr and Musa starts. Khizr, he says, now Prophet Khizr, he possesses that knowledge of batin, of asrar, of secrets, which Prophet Musa does not possess. The type of the knowledge which he has, Prophet Musa does not have. So all those incidents which unfold one after the other between Prophet Khizr and Prophet Musa, and every occasion he says that إِنَّكَ لَن تَسْتَطِيعَ مَعِيَ صَبْرًا, that Musa, you have no patience, you cannot carry on, we cannot carry on with each other. And some ulama, some mufassirin say that if Prophet Musa and Khizr were to carry on together until the day of judgment, they could not blend with each other, they could not tolerate each other. So Prophet Musa, with all that beauty, with all that might, with all that knowledge which he is given, for him it is tough to tolerate Prophet Khizr. Now how or can we tolerate the Imam of time when he comes? Now these are questions that we have to ask ourselves. So it becomes tough. Or for example, when Prophet Musa and Khizr, they come to the town and say that, can we have some food? People of the town, they refrain, they don't give them any food. They are upset. Prophet Khizr was sitting over there, he gets up, starts building a wall for free. Prophet Musa says that, why are you making that wall? We asked for some food from these people, they did not give us any food, and you want to make a wall for them, build a wall for them for free? Now again, ayat from Quran. make a لو شئت لاتخذت عليه أجرا, at least you should have taken some money from them for building that wall. Then Prophet Khizr says that this is the separation between you and me. We can't hang around, we can't carry on together anymore. وَمَا فَعَلْتُهُ عَنْ أَمْرِي, and whatever I did, that is that killing of that young lad, or sinking that boat, or building this wall, I did not do it all by myself. There are secrets that were hidden, that were present over there, as a result of which I did all that. So, salawat. The same thing is with Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, that we find that after Rasulullah, or when people they came to Amir al-Mu'mineen saying that take this khilafah, take this rule, he in reply says that go away to the people. And the riwayat they are such that they say that people they came to him in swarms, so much so that Hasanain they were getting crushed. That people they wanted Ali to take the rule and charge of affairs. And then he says that if I was to rule, I will rule as I know. Don't think that I will rule like the previous khulafa. And when it comes, the next day when he comes to the mosque, he says that so that people they don't object that we came to Ali and we asked him to rule, but he did not accept. He describes clearly that if he is to rule, how he will be ruling. Says that the black and white among you will make no difference for me. Those who were foremost in Islam will make no difference to me. What and what not, worship and what not, all that will make no difference to me. I will rule based upon taqwa. If this treasure which is with me, this Baytul Mal which is with me is to be distributed, it will be distributed as I wish, as I am instructed by Allah. You shouldn't be expecting that whosoever looted, whosoever plundered the wealth before me will be safe. So all these were the different difficult things which Amir al-Mu'mineen possesses, and there we find that many of the people who were so strong with Amir al-Mu'mineen right up to after Rasulullah, they did not remain with him. So being inqilabi is an issue, remaining inqilabi is another issue. Being with the Imam is an issue, remaining with an Imam is a tougher issue, is a tougher test. For example, Zubair, one of these personalities who could be named, fourth or fifth who embraced Islam at the age of 12, 15 or 16. Among those personalities who twice migrated, once to Habasha and the second to Medina. And one of the special to the Prophet, so much so that Rasulullah he says that لِكُلِّ نَبِيٍّ حَوَارِي وَحَوَارِي Zubayr ibn Awam, that every Nabi he has a disciple, and my disciple, my Hawari, my companion is Zubayr. With all that loud speaking, Zubayr he's so strong, he's so mighty, that in battles, these secret services, or when it came to spying on the enemies, no one was as strong as Zubayr who could spy on these enemies. So with all that brilliant past, Zubayr, he removed the grief from Rasulullah with his sword on many occasions. Or for example, when after Rasulullah, when Amir al-Mu'mineen was all alone, was being dragged from his house to the mosque, the first one to object was Zubayr. Says that, Ya ma'ashara bani Hashim, ayuf'alu hadha bi'ali. Says that, O Bani Hashim, will Ali be treated in this way and you are all alive? And then the first one to take his sword out to protect Ali was Zubayr, with all that beautiful past. But when it comes to the time when Amir al-Mu'mineen is to become the Imam and the Khalifa, Zubayr is not that same Zubayr who was with that beautiful past. That attachment to dunya, love for money, love for wealth increased in him, so much so that even after all these incidents that unfold, they came to Amir al-Mu'mineen prior to the three Khalifas, that Ali, why don't you stand and take your right? Imam just wanted to test and said that, okay, I will stand, I will fight. Tomorrow, all those who want to support me, I want them to shave their heads and come to me with their swords. 4 people out of the whole of Medina came to Amir al-Mu'mineen, Abu Zar, Miqdad, Ammar, and the 4th is Zubair. With that beautiful past, Amir al-Mu'mineen just wanted to see how many he has. 4 supporters who said that we will be with you. But after the 3 Khalifas, and when Amir al-Mu'mineen gets the charge of affairs, Zubair is someone else now. It's not that old Zubair as such. His possession, his wealth is 59 million dinars, 800,000 silver coins. He possesses 11 houses. Houses, when I say 11 palaces in Medina, 2 in Basra, 1 in Kufa, 1 in Egypt. And this Zubair, with all these riches, do you expect him to be with Ali? Impossible. So someone who was good at a time, doesn't matter. We have to remain good. So, Sibqat or being foremost in Islam doesn't count. Staying with the Imam, that is something which counts. Being with the Imam until the last moment is something which counts. And the same thing is with Talha and Zubair. Now when all these, when they see the attitude of Imam is as such that he says that, okay, I will take the charge of affairs, but I will act as I wish, as I am to rule, and as I am instructed. There is an emergency meeting between Talha and Zubair, and they come up with Walid bin Aqaba. He comes to Imam and says that we will extend our allegiance to you on a few conditions. Now what are these conditions? The first condition, and then he says that if you accept these conditions, you will be safe. The first condition is that the killers of Usman hand them over to us. The second condition is that whosoever has plundered, has looted from the treasury, don't do anything with them. Or whatever Usman has given to the people, just past is past, bygones are bygones, leave them. Imam said, you say, and then the other thing which they objected when they came to Amir al-Mu'minin, they say that Imam, something in common in all of us is that we have at least one who has been killed and you have killed them. Imam in reply says that I had nothing in personal. That was a war between Kufr and Iman, as a result of which people were killed in your families. And then if I am to rule, I will rule as I wish. And if the killers of Usman, if they are found, it is me who will be judging how they should be punished. So, now with all that, this way how Amir al-Mu'mineen is to judge, it becomes tough on people how to tolerate them. So the Imam al-Asr, when he comes, it's going to be the same scenario. Prophet Musa, with all that brilliant past, with all that might which he possesses, with all those sciences which he has, with all that great rank which he possesses, for him to tolerate Prophet Khizr, it becomes tough. Now for us to tolerate the Imam of time, it's going to be definitely tough. Now to understand this in even simpler words, Wahid Bahbahani, among the great ulama of the Shia world, he has a lecture, and then after, in his lecture, he comes and says that we will not be able to tolerate the Imam if he comes. People present in that masjid, they objected that why do you say that? If we don't tolerate the Imam, who is going to tolerate the Imam? And then everyone came and objected. The khadim of that masjid comes to him where he used to offer his prayers in that mihrab. He takes that prayer mat away and say that, look at me, all these years I've been spreading this prayer mat for you to lead the prayers, and we joined the prayers behind you. A shame, a pity. And then he took that prayer mat away and then came home. So everyone mocked at him, that why did he say that we will not be able to tolerate the Imam? We are waiting for him, we are praying for him, we are longing for him. Now this sheikh with a broken heart, he comes to his house. That he has been kicked out of the mosque after serving for so many years, just for saying that we will not be able to tolerate the Imam. After midnight, or nearer to the morning, someone knocks at the door. He says, it must be these people again, they want to kick me out of this town, they've come all the way here. Sees that the khadim of that mosque has come to him, crying and pleading, says that, allow me to kiss your hands, forgive me for what I did yesterday. He says, what was that scenario that was in the mosque yesterday and what I see today? He says that Imam al-Asr, he wanted to teach me a lesson. Says, after all those defamation and insulting you in the mosque, I went home, I slept, I had a dream. I saw Imam has arrived. And I started shouting and informing everyone that Imam, he has arrived. People come on, cluster and get with the Imam. Imam, he comes to me. The first thing he says that you, the caretaker of that mosque, that rug in your house, you haven't paid the khums of it. It's not your property, it's ghasbi. Roll it and put it away. And then he says that the house which you are living in, again that is in one of those usurped areas, ghasbi areas, you shouldn't be living in that house, come out of that house. Now 2 rulings Imam has given to him in his dream, and then immediately when he hears these 2 rulings, what he says that he has a doubt, and he said I said to him that who says you are the Imam Zaman? Who says you are the Imam? He says the moment I said to him that who says you are the Imam, I woke up and I ran to you that whatever you said yesterday was right, that whether or not we will be able to tolerate the Imam, it's tough. The judgment which Imam does is not what we have in our day-to-day lives. It's based on wahy. It's based on revelation. The judgments that we have today, it's these defendants and plaintiffs, that if someone has witnesses, if he doesn't have a witness, he swears an oath. During the time of Prophet Dawood, he again used to judge based upon wahy. A young lad during that time, he says to Allah, now he was struck with poverty, prays and says to Allah, God, make it as such that I am provided with some sustenance, with some food. It so happens that the door was open, a cow rushes inside that house, he sees that his prayers have been granted, he slaughters that cow and he has a big meal. People, they came running after that cow and they found that the cow has been slaughtered, it's been killed. And he comes and complains to Prophet Dawood. Prophet Dawood says, now his judgment was based upon wahy. Wahy is revealed to Prophet Dawood that say to the owner of the cow that let this young lad go, forgive him. He says, this is the ruling, let him go. Now he says, why should I let him go? It was my cow and the judgment should be something else. He comes next day, complains again, wahy is revealed, let him go. You do not let him go, half of your wealth should be given to that boy. He says, he stole my cow, ate it, and now you want to give away half of my wealth to him. Says, if you don't accept, then you'll have to give all of your wealth. The 3rd day, if you don't accept, all of your wealth, including yourself with all your slaves, should be given to that young lad. He says, what type of a ruling is this? It was my property and everything which I possess is being given to that boy. The man and the young boy with Prophet Dawood come to the graveyard, to the cemetery, to the grave of the father of this young lad. And there says, Bi'iznillah, and the person who was dead in that grave is alive, is raised. And then Prophet Dawood asks him to say what the scenario was. He says, he was my partner, he killed me. All what he possesses is not his, it's mine. So in reality, the true owner of whatever he had was that young lad. So this is how Anbiya, they judge. This is how Imam will judge. So these types of judgments are going to be tough. And when we see these judgments, whether or not we will stick with them, again, that is something else. So, remaining with the Imam, it's one of those issues, one of those tests that whether or not we are lucky, we don't know. Riwayat, they say that when the Imam comes, there will be people who will be writing to the Imam and they would say that we don't need you. Now, who are these people? They are those people who've been longing and praying for the Imam. Now the reason for mentioning this, it's not to disappoint any one of us over here, just to come to ourselves, that we have to correct ourselves, we have to make ourselves so strong, and it is easier nowadays. And how that is easy, again, that will be mentioned. Or for example, we have a hadith which says that the 313 people who will be with the Imam when he comes, now those 313 are the best who will exist in the end of time. This hadith says that when the Imam comes, these 313 will cluster around the Imam in a blink of an eye in Mecca. And there Imam, he would show them a note. When they see the note, they will have a doubt in the existence of the Imam. A few of them will disperse. They will go away from the Imam. Now because they possess that tayyul arz, they can move around anywhere. They would go in search and then come back saying that this is the right Imam. Our sixth Imam says that I know what that note says, which my son would show them, as a result of which some of these 313, they will disperse, but they will come back. Marhum Ayatullah al-Uzma, Qazi Tabatabai, one of the greatest urafa of the Shia world, he says that I know what that note says. Now he is the Ustad of Marhum Ayatullah Bahjat and many of the students who existed. So he has come so close to the Ahlul Bayt that he has become a mahram of theirs, and they know what that note says. So people of that caliber also, sometimes when these tests and trials they come, it becomes tough for them to tolerate them. Now, today, in this day and age, it is easier for us in this aspect. The wilayat that we have, first of all, it's that wilaya a father has over his children, especially his daughter, or the wilayat which a husband has over the wife, a mujtahid possesses, a marja' possesses, or a wilayat faqih who possesses. If we stick to this framework of the different wilayat that exist, or if we are obedient to these do's and don'ts, it will be easier for us to be with the Imam. That is, if children, they are obedient to their parents, definitely it will be easier for them to be obedient to the Imam. We can't say that if we are not obedient to our parents, we can be obedient to the Imam. It is impossible. Or for example, if we are not obedient to a marja' taqleed, we cannot be obedient to the Imam. If we do not follow what the wali faqih says, we cannot follow what the Imam would say. So all these are the different wilayat that we have. And opposing these wilayat, again, it's tough. It has severe consequences. That children who oppose their parents, who stand against their parent, they have a bad livelihood in this dunya. They have a bad death. They have a short life. And all these are things that that have been taught to us in riwayat, that someone who stands against the parents. Now even if the parents were wrong, if a father was a judge and if the son was a judge and the father was wrong, the teaching that we have is that Imam says that if you were to judge against your father and that punishment was to be announced, son, although he is right, he shouldn't announce that punishment against his father. And if he does, his life will be shortened, although he is right. Because of that connection that Allah has created, because of those wilayat that exist. Now someone who opposes a wali faqih, for example, again he has a bad death. Now these are things which are a fact, which are a reality, which exist. Now for example, one of the incidents that can be mentioned, it's during the time of Marhum Mirza Shirazi, who the mujtahid who issued the fatwa banning tobacco. That was the fatwa against the British Empire. It was as such that one of the ulama, he objected him. He curses him, as a result of which his children died. And his wish and desire was to have children who were ulama. None of those wishes were granted. Why? As a result of him opposing. So, for us it's easier today that if we stick within that framework that has been laid by these different wilayat, it will be easier for us to stick with the Imam of time. And this is something which we learn from Marhum Ayatollah Bahauddini, one of the great urafa and ulama of the Shia world, who passed away in 1997. He says that Shias, they have a sahib, they have a master. It is impossible for this Shia to remain without a master. There is someone who is looking after these Shias. There is someone behind the scene. You know that before the passing away of Marhum Imam Khomeini, the leadership of the revolution was with someone else. But how it happened that everything changed and this Sayyid was to be elected? His immediate students, they say that it was as such that in his meetings he used to say that whatever is happening now, nothing is going to materialize. Why? Because Shia has a sahib, and that will not allow this leadership to go anywhere. Shia has a sahib. So that is something, again, these are those wilayat that possess, that when it is as such, we have to be careful, especially when it comes to the duty and being in line with all these different wilayat that exist. One of the things that we learn from this tragedy of Karbala, it's again these wilayats, or this adab which possesses. Tonight inshallah we'll be talking about Hur, the sincere servant of Abu Abdullah. Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, with his army, is the first one who stopped Abu Abdullah when they come to Karbala. Is the first one by seeing whom? By seeing his army, the hearts of the household of Abu Abdullah, they shook. Now in the house of Zu Hasam Abu Abdullah, instructed to set up the tents, there Hur arrives with 1,000 of his soldiers. Instructions of Abu Abdullah are that Hur be quenched, water be given to him and all members of his army. Now the followers of Abu Abdullah, they obeyed and they gave water to them. Ali ibn Ta'an, he is among the last of the soldiers who is to arrive at this point. There he says that I was so much dehydrated and thirsty that I saw Abu Abdullah, he instructed his people to lay down the camel which had that water vessel on it, so that it is easier for me to drink from that vessel, so that it was easier for my horse to get that water. He says that it was tough for me to drink from that vessel. Abu Abdullah himself, he comes and helps me out so that I drink the water from that vessel. Now who is he? He is from someone from the army of Hur. And this is the attitude of Abu Abdullah, that he quenches and provides water even to the enemies at that time. Now the adab which Hur possesses, it's amazing. It says that Hur, when he comes and meets Abu Abdullah, it is the time for prayers, time for Zuhr prayers. Imam says to Hur, now the thing that is being mentioned over here is adab, manners, being well mannered. May that be being well mannered with children, with wife, with a husband. If a person is well mannered, when it comes to the turning point, he will be guided to the right path. But if a person is ill-mannered, doesn't possess that adab, there are very slim chances, very low chances of him being guided or him getting to that turning point. So we have to be well-mannered. One of the things or the beauties which were possessed in Hur was that he was well-mannered, adab which he possesses. Now, Hur is the enemy of Abu Abdullah here. It's the time for Zohr prayers. Imam says to Hur, it's Zohr prayer time. You say your prayers over there with your army. I'll say my prayers with my 70 odd people over here. Hur says, Yabna Rasulullah, it's time for prayers. You will be leading the prayers and you want me to lead the prayers with my people somewhere else? Impossible. You lead the prayers, I will join you. Now if this one message was given to Ibn Ziyad that Hur he joined in prayers with Abu Abdullah, that was sufficient for him to be beheaded. That is that adab which Hur possesses. Now after the salat which Hur offered with the Imam, and the Imam wants to go away, Hur stops him. Immediately Imam, he says, Sakalatka ummuk, may your mother cry on you, Hur, that is, may you die. Hur says that you said that to me, Yabna Rasulullah, but I can't say the same words to you. You are great, you are noble, and I can't say those words to your mother, which is Zahra. So that is that adab of Hur. And again you see on the day of Ashura that when Imam starts giving those sermons and all the ashab are clustering around the Imam. Now Imam says to the ashab that فَإِنِّي لَا أَعْلَمُ أَصْحَابًا أَصْلَحْ مِنْكُمْ وَلَا أَهْلُ بَيْتٍ أَبَرٍ. Says that I don't know any companions better than you. That is better than you, not over here in Karbala. That is as if Imam is scanning the entire creation, and from this creation there is no one better than these 70 people who are present with Abu Abdullah. They are the best. And there is no one better than you. There is no one afzal. And there is no household, no Ahlul Bayt better than these Ahlul Bayt that were given to me. That is the top notch, the best. And then when Imam gives out these sermons on that day of Ashura, says, Hur, he is a strong man, a strong warrior with all those men that were present with him. Reporters say that we see Hur, he is shaken, he is pale. And then says that we said to him, if we were said who is the strongest person over here, we always said it's Hur. What is this we see you in Hur? He says, I see myself between the hell and the heaven. Hell definitely I will but not take. Heaven is the doorstep of Abu Abdullah. He gallops, comes towards Abu Abdullah and Hussein, and then says with his hands on his head, says, Allahumma inni tubtu ilayk, that Allah forgive me, I've repented. I've shaken the hearts of the household of your Prophet. I've shook their hearts. I am the first one who brought this fright and pain into the hearts of these little infants and children. Forgive me. Comes to Abu Abdullah, and there Abu Abdullah says, Hur, come down. Get down that ride. He says, Ya Abu Abdullah, I would be a better servant for you on this horse. Let me stay on the horse. Allow me to fight for you. Be the first one who could fight for you. Imam says, okay, permission granted. You've been forgiven. He fights a fierce fight. Many of those Malayin were sent to the hell. And then when Hur is knocked down, he falls. He is in the laps of the Imam of time, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Hur Hur, his face is wounded, eyes are wounded. Imam comes to Hur, wants to clean his eyes. Hur says, Imam, leave me as it is. On the day of judgment, I can see your mother. I can say that I served your son. Imam cleans his eyes, says, have you forgiven me? Yes, you have been forgiven. Allah has forgiven you. Now this question we may ask from Hur, that you were in the laps of Abu Abdullah, he cleaned your wounds, he cleaned that blood, your eyes. Who did that for Abu Abdullah? Hur, we wish you were there to see how Zainab, she kissed the veins of Abu Abdullah. Hur, we wish you were there to see when this infant of Abu Abdullah rushed to the battlefield, fell onto the body of her father, how she was seized away and taken away. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. إلهي بحق الزهرة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها، يا الله 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 يا الله. اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولمن وجب له حق علينا ولمن وصانا بالدعاء ولجميع أمة محمد وآل محمد. اللهم عجل في فرج مولانا صاحب الزمان ماتم حسين. That he uses is صغيرهم يميته العطش, that is the infant that is from this caravan of Noor, from this caravan of light. The youngest among them will die of thirst, that is, that thirst will kill. Now what exactly this thirst does, inshallah, we will come to that point and try and discuss and try to understand and perceive what exactly this atash is, this thirst is. Or for example, when it says that kabiruhum jilduhu munkamash, that from this caravan of light, from this caravan of Noor, kabiruhum, those who are the elders, their skin will be munkamash. Munkamash means that due to the heat, when the skin gets burned, it gets stretched. So that is a pain. Dehydration is a pain. Atash is a pain. Now whether or not we understand, we perceive, that's something else. So the first one to recite these masa'ib was Jibreel. And it is as such that 4 times, some riwayat say 5 times, during the time of Rasulullah, he is informed of this tragedy which is going to unfold in Karbala. That is, Imam, he is not yet 4 years of age since his birth. First, when he is born, the scenario is different, that everyone is happy, but Rasulullah is sad. Wahy is revealed. The mother, she asks, what is the reason for this sorrow and grief and crying of yours? That when the baby, the infant is given to the grandfather, he starts kissing the neck of this baby. Now all this is that musibah that we see upon the birth of each member of this noble household, or these Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. For this azar, for these tears that are shed, there is a huge big reward that no one can define. Our 6th Imam, he has jalasat, he has Allah Jalla wa Ala make these majalis of ours a majlis of ma'rifah, a majlis of knowing, a majlis of tawbah, a majlis of repentance, so that we correct ourselves. All that wrong that is in us is dropped out, and we turn back to our original default settings which Allah had created us with, and we are with Him. And we ask Allah, by the presence of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, by this infant of Abu Abdullah, to forgive us, to waive all that wrong that is in us, and to accept us all in His service, to expedite the arrival of the Imam of time. It was mentioned yesterday. It was mentioned yesterday that the actions that we have, the a'mal that we have, these a'mal, their quality can be elevated by elevating the intentions that we have, the niyyah that we have, al-a'malu bin-niyyat. And these intentions again, our fourth Imam, he defines how these intentions can be elevated. Says that Allahumma waffir bilutfika niyyati, that by your grace make it as such that this niyyah, this intention of mine is wafir, is abundant, it takes everything on board. And that make it as such that this niyyat of mine is elevated, it's high. It was mentioned again yesterday that Hazrat Zahra salamullahi alayha, when she talks about the concept of imam, says that mathalul imam mislul Kaaba, that the parable of imam is like that of Kaaba. To Kaaba you go, and Kaaba never comes to you. And again, when we talked about niyyah and intention, it was mentioned that it should be as such that we have to be totally compatible to Ahlul Bayt, totally compatible to the Imam. And an example was mentioned of Salman, that ja'ala hawahu hawa Amir al-Mu'mineen, that his desires were the desires of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Whatever Imam wanted, he wants. So all these were the different things that were mentioned yesterday. And again, if you look into it, this whole system that Allah has laid, may that be the month of Ramadan, may that be Laylatul Qadr, may that be the day of Arafah, the days of Hajj, the days of Muharram, the day of Ashura. All these are, in simple words, traps that are laid by Allah. Marhum Imam Khomeini, in his Durus Akhlaq, he used to say that it's like these seeds that we throw and we catch pigeons. Says Allah, He gives all these different opportunities, that with an excuse of the month of Ramadan, He wants to catch people, catch the good ones, giving us an opportunity. With an excuse of Laylatul Qadr, again wants to trap us so that we are elevated. And again, this great big opportunity that Allah has given us, the month of Muharram and the days of Azar, again a huge big opportunity that is being given to us. And it is one of those simplest and the easiest opportunities that we cry sincerely, come to this household of wahy, household of karamat, and get elevated. So again, that is by this niyyah. Or for example, Prophet Musa, he was shown that fire. He comes to his wife, says that lessons each day. And one of his students is Zurara, who attends these lessons. Zurara was absent in one of these durus. The next day, Imam says, Zurara, why were you absent yesterday? Now for Imam, when he inquires, it's for this message to be delivered to others. Otherwise, they don't need this inquiry at all. Says Zurara, why were you absent? What was the reason for your absence? If it was something to do with your schools, with the children's schools, etc., someone else could have done the job. Why were you absent from the dars of the Imam of your time? He doesn't reply. And then he says that, Imam, truly speaking, the reason for my absence is that I had invited a few of these top-notch people in the community to my home so that we all sit and cry for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Each one of us recited, the others they cried, and it was the turn of each one of us. Imam says, I know, Zurara, I was present in that majlis of yours. He says, I had that feeling that there is someone by the door of my house, but I never thought it was you. And if it was you, then why didn't you come in that majlis? Why didn't you participate? Ya Imam. He says that how could I have come in when my mother, she also was present in that majlis. She was sitting by those footwear where people they leave their shoes and slippers. And how could I have come inside that majlis? So our majlis that we are sitting in, it is of that great honor, whose first reciter is God himself, you could say. Jibreel himself, Ma'asumeen, they recited. Everyone recited, everyone cried. And we also are trying to align ourselves to these great reciters of these majalis and masa'ib of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. May Allah أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توغى وتمتعه فيها طويلا. Remembrance of Ahlul Bayt, Ghaza for Ahlul Bayt, crying for Abu Abdullah. It's one of those worships whose reward it's given by Allah Jalla wa'ala, or a tear that is shed for Abu Abdullah. There is no reward that has been defined in riwayah. Says that is something which Allah, He will reward Himself. Now the first one to recite the musibats for Abu Abdullah is Jibreel alayhi salam, the sincere messenger or the mediator between Allah and all of His prophets. Now the first phrase which he recites, he says that صغيرهم يميته العطش كبيرهم جلده منكمش. That when he recites this musibah for Prophet Adam, the words